I think we're online. Okay, hello all,
Hmm.
and welcome to the 36th multiplayer test live stream of Rank War Master. We have some special treats today, and the main one about that is, of course, is we got two main things put into play. One is a technique called volume tiled forward shading, which sounds very technical, and it is, which instead of having game allowing like 50, maybe 100 lights, this thing will allow hundreds of thousands of lights. And I've tested it up that far, and it does work without sacrificing frame rate. And it would get very complicated for me to get into it, but now that the engine supports it, we are starting the push of adding as many lights as possible wherever we can shove it, because the system can now handle it. The other thing that was also done was we finally added terrain level shadow mapping, which means shadows from the sun. It still needs to be dialed in, meaning it needs to be tweaked. And I'm using what's called cascade shadow mapping because we have very large open terrain. So today's about light and darkness. So without further ado, I'll start this one up and get this going. And of course I should tell OBS to move over. I see we have someone in our chat. Alright. Okie dokie, server's up. Now, I will say this, the shadow mapping is far from perfect. I have to figure out where the equation is falling down, that kind of thing. The big issue with shadow maps, especially cascading shadow maps, is there's a trade-off between resolution and the number of maps, if you will. And I'll try to point out what that kind of is. Although you see it in modern games all the time. But they obviously spent the time and effort to dial in the issues. I'm still trying to figure that one out. But it does make the terrain look a lot different. It's not implemented in the RTS screen yet. I wanted to kind of make it work in the main sim screen first. All the lighting stuff is working all over the place, though. I'm very proud of that one. That one's pretty solid. There's a few niggles here and there that still needs to be done, but for the most part, it's ready. So, Paul, no, are you coming in?
I'm
trying.
I launched the game and I'm waiting for it to finish. Hold on.
Alright.
RMM.log is the main log of the game, right?
Excuse me?
RMM.log.
RWM.
Or RWM, sorry, I just loved it that quickly.
What are you asking?
I'm asking if that's like where anything odd would go.
It goes in both logs. Sometimes it's the net log, sometimes it's the main log. The main log does itself every frame. So I guess you crashed out?
Yeah, twice.
I'm crashing out too upon launching. It says loading, prepare, ship builder, display item info, and then it just halts.
Yeah, same here. I can't actually get all the way into the game.
Okay, that sounds like I forgot a file, so let me take a look at that.
Yeah. So while they resolve that, how do I move forward so we're not just thing in the live stream. I can always come back out and restart the server.
Sounds like
So,
a good plan. Let's
yep.
do it.
So, one of the big differences is what I refer to as the light mohawk, which has been kind of plaguing the terrain forever. And that's what you're seeing over here, because the shadow mapping only goes so far. But you can see how it's a solid light line, but when it gets to here, the terrain actually looks like hills. So let me get a little bit lower here. And so now we're distinctly more seeing that there's actually hills and shadows from hills and things of that nature, which is kind of cool. And that goes in both directions, of course. And so the terrain is looking a lot more terrainish, if you know what I mean. Like I said, the shadow maps by no means are finished, but they're a very good start. So, to that end, this shows how it usually looks, where it's just there. I am going to go build stuff. And we can see what that ends up looking like. So there's other surprises involved in here too. Since I'm hearing the music probably pretty loud in my headphones, I'm going to turn down the music just in case it's drowning things out. Probably want to save that. Okay. Here comes the build run.
I checked the stream. I can't even hear the music at all
Really?
at this point. Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's not necessarily a bad thing. I would want to hear us anyway. I always turn it back up, of course. So I assume Matt's talking to you guys offline?
I am checking all the files to make sure I didn't miss anything
Okay.
and testing what we've got. Everybody said it crashed in ship items.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you can't say that that's... It'd be easier to run it than look in the log and see what the error is. See, now, there's two things here. Although this is kind of getting silly because it's behind the mountain here a little bit. There actually is a shadow that has been created from this building. And there's also an interconnect between the building and the first building. That's the light sourcing thing. We're going to change that. Right now it's just using the same light type as the beams do. And we're going to change that to being something different, where it's going to have like a little pulse or something like that. Whatever it kind of looks a little more interesting is one of the discussions I wanted to have today. But while that's doing that, I will proceed and get to the point where we can show one of the ships with the running lights. Yeah, at this point the music is almost all, I think it is all the way down at this point. But now you can much more distinctly see where the valleys are and the hilltops are, etc. So let's do the standard thing. I also know, Adam, did you ever update the tech web? I know you were in the process of doing a redesign of it.
There is
No.
a new tech web.
And I did all the
newish.
testing stuff you wanted, but I haven't actually done the new tech web update yet because this isn't actually done.
Okay. Didn't know if I should start describing that or not. So like I said, these lines between the buildings, the intention is to eventually have it set so that there's like a pulse going across rather than just the line was just a light version that we already had in existence. So if you're okay, this will work. There we go. Part of the problem is I'm purposely building on top of a mountain here. Things definitely do look a little bit different with all the local lights going on it. Now, what the intention is to actually have the buildings have their own lights and animations completely based on whether or not they're just idle, if they're powered, if they're active, that kind of thing. And it's already complaining that I'm running out of juice. Oops. And if you didn't know, yes, you can actually drag that around. So I will build another power system. I guess I'll put it here. I'll put it right there. Why not? So yes, if you don't like this here, you can actually put this all the way down here if you so felt like it. So the original UI was actually meant to be draggable. At a certain point, we decided against it with a lot of things, but some of it's still there. I wonder if this is... Nope, that's not draggable. Just kind of curious. Alright, so I'm going to build a factory, and in so doing, I'm going to use one of the ships that recently got built, meaning got designed rather, that actually has running lights. We only have one so far, and it's just sort of a test more than anything else. So I will get that built. Let's do a factory real quick. Let's shove her right there, just for amusement value. And while that's doing that, I will go design real quick a really quick ship. Now, there's no factories yet, of course.
It's looking good on the stream.
Well, thank you. I see what you mean by this being brighter than usual. It wasn't doing that originally, Matt, but it is now. I'll have to look into that. Where is the red? Aha, there we go. There we go. It says red ship with running lights. The way too long name of a ship. But it works. So let's add 2 in there just for ha-has. Now we don't have to worry about shields or anything, so we'll just keep it what it is. Alright. We'll save it. And let's see if the factory got built yet. Yep, it did. And we'll build that once I have the money to do it, which I should in a few seconds. Oh, only now it just got completed. Okay, fair enough. I'm still waiting for me to have enough money. And 3, 2, 1, and Zot. There it goes. And so yes, if I get a more bird's eye view of things, you can see how everything's all laid out. Now with a lot of modern games, when you're especially talking about terrain like this, the shadows are only exist at a certain range. So as you can see, as I get closer, shadows start to res in for different things. So for example, the factory over there now is casting a shadow onto this little mountaintop. If I get far enough away, you can kind of see it. And what's interesting, you can see little parts of that antenna over there coming in right there where I'm shooting. as far as the shadow goes. Alright. So let's see how this looks. Matt, did you test the running lights before the ranges?
Yes, I played around with it. I reduced it. I think it still needs to be reduced farther,
Okay.
but you have to get pretty close to the terrain now for it to get that really big glow. And when
Okay.
you do, you can distinguish the two lights.
Oh,
Um,
well, let's try that.
the two light colors, unless it's at full intensity.
Okay. So, let's get up to here. Now, the red ship is here, and the fun thing about this thing is that it has both a green and a blue light on the edges. Unfortunately, green and blue do not show up on red, so we only see it where the ship actually has gray. So, to get a better answer, I'm going to jump to the ship. But you can see how it's making my old ship glow blue and green, just from being too close to it. So you can tell the blue is, I believe, on my left and my green's on the right. So, as Matt was mentioning, if you get too close to the terrain, it should actually start doing funky. Aha! See, it's making the bond glow. So I'll level myself out, and I'll hop back to the other ship. And there you go. You can see how red he was. Right, sure I can. And so what's happening is the intention is to have running lights. Now, the unfortunate part is blue and green don't mix well with red. So you're seeing the result. Now, when you see me going up and you're seeing that red flash, that's from my engines. Because I'm maneuvering. Go figure. But the idea is that the running lights would actually end up making the ship itself glow. We're probably going to make it much more pronounced when the time comes, but like I said, this was just put in hours ago, and so we got to sort of tweak. So part of the discussion today is how ridiculously obvious should the lights be? And to give you an idea, that's not just in the combat screen here, the sim screen that shows up. If I go into the nav screen, the RTS, I mean, there's the lighting. I mean, it's all here. And that's the beauty of it. We can now add hundreds of thousands of lights, and the system just won't care. So now it's a matter of, well, what can we do with it? And so we're coming up with wacky things. So the intention is to have like searchlights on the actual buildings, change this into a shader so that we have a pulse going between the buildings, so it shows where the energy's going. Have different states of lights on the different buildings and such based on whether or not if they're powered up, if they're losing power, if they're actually active. I mean, reactor's basically always active, but you know, something like a factory, you may have like dances of lights running around it or something else like that, depending what happens. So that's actually the main new things. I mean, it was a major engine upgrade to put in all the lights and especially put in all the shadows. And the lights do actually come out pretty, honestly. I mean, that part of the equations and everything else works very, very well. The shadow mapping equations, it's still a little off. I'm still trying to get it to be kind of more perfect, but it's 80% there. I still think the answer is to add more cascading shadow maps, and then I can step up the resolution better, and it'll look a lot nicer. The other problem is, of course, is the we're on a very harsh angle from the sun. The sun's coming in at a very steep angle, as you can see. So that little dot over there, if you haven't figured it out, is the sun. Go figure. And it's actually that big if you were on Mars. It's actually pretty small. No, I don't know what that's supposed to be. Considering the star map has a couple suns that are just as big. But if you notice, if I go below this line here, see how everything disappears? I'm not in. There's no Mohawk light or anything else like that anymore. It's just the light of me going against the ground because I'm going against the ground so quickly. So, it's just my rear thruster. Doesn't mean right after burning, if you're wondering. But if I get above the horizon, and so I can see the sun, you can start seeing how the light is now peeking over the edge of this hill here. And so I can go to the opposite edge of the hill, and you can see the shadow of the other mountain coming over here, because literally we're on the North Pole of Mars, so it is in a perpetual twilight here, the way we have it currently set up. Meaning perpetual dusk, if you will, sunset. What's sort of interesting is I should be able to see myself. Okay, yep, there I am. See? It's a little black dot over there. Let's make it closer, it'll get a little bigger. There I am. See? I can see myself. There wasn't that old commercial you can see yourself in the dishes or whatever it was?
It sounds familiar, but I don't specifically remember. It's like maybe.
I think it was... Alright, it doesn't really matter. It was like some detergent thing. But it was amusing. But as I was saying, the light... I mean, you can see the lights from all the way over there. So, if I go back over to the hilltop... Now, the shadowing really makes a big difference, because now you can actually really tell when something's hiding behind the mountain range. Before, it was just sort of like, it's a gray mass. You couldn't really tell where things started and ended. You know. So now I'm behind the mountain range, and the only reason why I know things are there is because it's my city. But I can turn off the HUD, and I can start flying around without the HUD, and they can really see me over in the distance there. Make a little shadow. Boink. And you pop over the hill, and there's the city doing its thing. Which is kind of pretty with all the lights. And you can see the little blue and green light over there too, at a distance. Even though we're this far away. And it's not... Yes, that's a glitch in the shadow mapping stuff. But it's not slowing anything down. And that's the beauty of it. And the whole idea is that all the different ships will have their own running lights. All the different buildings will have their own lights. While it's very much in its infancy right now, the intention is to have that there for everything by next live stream. So how goes the file stuff? So we can try one last thing.
I found it.
You found it. So everybody's up and running?
I'm getting them copied everywhere they need to be.
Okay. So here's something for you, boys and girls. In any type of game where you have a large expanse, they use what's called cascading shadow maps, which means they use multiple shadow maps at different resolutions. So the highest res is closest to you, and the ones further away isn't. But what's interesting is you can see when it comes in. If you look closely, you can see shadows appearing as you get close to things. And that's how it's going from one map to the next, because it's defining more and more. Now, they have it all dialed in a lot better than I do. This is kind of... Trust me, this was a lot worse, and this can get a lot better. But it's interesting how the shadows just sort of come in as you get closer, and this kind of reses up. And right now, I'm already running 4 of them. So, so I can stop doing my
The
thing.
files are all uploaded, so everybody should be able to get into the game now. Sorry about that.
Things happen.
I was just happy it wasn't something with my machine.
Trust me, we had those issues too.
I realized that's why I didn't say anything initially. I'm like, let me. It's like I thought I started the game. Okay, let me start it. Okay, let me look at the log.
Yeah, you're not wrong. And yes, this is because the code was only put in this morning, blowing up something like the building here. It's gonna lie to me, isn't it?
Okay, joining now.
It won't let me blow it up. How do I not have that blown up? Oh, it's hurt. Oh, now you blow up. Thank you. Yes, I did put the code in to actually remove the light source. That'll be fixed next time. But like I said, that was only really gotten running yesterday and partially this morning. This morning, all the lights were attaching to the same building. That was not helpful. I was like, why are you doing that? I shouldn't be doing that. Yeah. So, at least now they're tracking right to different buildings, but yeah, that was a problem this morning. Okay, so shall I exit and everybody come back in then?
That makes sense.
Alright, sirs. Alright. It's weird, we're almost up to 3,000 commits. We're at 2959.
But are you truly committed?
We are very committed. I remember when we were down at 2020 going, oh no, it's 2020.
Remember, there's a difference between truly committed and should be truly committed.
Yes, that's also true too. So server's up. And for your own reference, if you notice when the game starts up, it's all black because the textures haven't loaded in. That's partially on purpose. Not, we tend to make it an option for a player because it still takes another 26 seconds, I think, for everything to load in. But sometimes you just want to get in the game, and so especially for testing, it's just quicker to go in and let the textures come in on their own. And you've seen that result already. So, Adam, since you're on the pulse ship, I do want you demonstrating a whole bunch of pulses.
Okay, look.
That's a good question, Matt. Does the repair beam redo the ammo?
Should.
Did we ever test that? I'll take that as a maybe.
I think the last time we tested it, it was crashing due to unrelated reasons. Can't guarantee that it won't still crash. No, what was it? What was it? There was some networking piece that wasn't being equalized. It was the weapon tax.
Okay. Did that ever get
So
resolved?
as long as we need to save them, that's what we needed to do. And I got distracted by the running lights.
Fair enough. So the answer is no, they're not running. Okay.
We should talk tomorrow about how to save things properly.
Yeah, no, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. So we doing two teams, same teams? What are we doing? Guys?
Looks like we're all on the same team.
Well, I'm asking, should we do two teams, or we just basically did the demonstration stuff? So we can either... The last main test, which I know did get fixed, is de-resing someone's ship, which is basically we build a salvage ship, someone to get eaten, and then everybody should see him de-res. It should no longer be a, oh, he's still there thing. If you remember, that was the problem last stream. So I believe that got fixed. That's the last fix I want to demonstrate, but that's up to you if you want to do that all on the same team and then call it, or if you want to try to play, or what we want to do.
Yeah, let's just do a demo because I can't guarantee that something
All right.
will go horribly wrong.
Fair enough.
So that'll make it. We'll lose less if there's a crash.
Okie dokie then. All right. So I'm going to purposely try to build over where the light is so we actually can see shadows of the buildings. So I'm going to move my ship down to where the light actually is. Alright. Okay, and stop. I'll get the builder bot down there first before I give up on it. But if that's the case, then I'm going to have to rebudget things. I'm going to need... Whoever's shooting the ground, could you keep doing it? Fire right a little bit, please. There you go. See, this is what I love about the light. Look at that. Doesn't that look like a laser pointer? That's how the equations come out. It really looks like a laser pointer. It's great. I love it. I mean, you ever get like a big old laser pointer, that's kind of where that one rolls, and I love that thing. Okay. I know I'm silly that way, but there you go. Alright, I'm gonna increase my my money. Alright, where's the builder bot? Did he ever get where he needed to go? Of course he did. No, he's on his way still. Okay, so we're gonna build him in the light. And see what happens. Actually, where the world is he? Oh well, we'll figure it out. Okay, so not quite the hill I was... Huh?
Lose track of the builder bot for a second?
Distract the builder bot?
Did you lose track of the builder bot for a second?
I forgot where I sent him, and I didn't send him where I thought I was going to send him, so yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I was purposely trying to put the buildings in the light. So where's my ship? My ship is over here. So we're just going to go on the outer edge of this and see what we get. So he's going to be pretty far from where we're supposed to be. Sidestep right here. Maybe it doesn't need to go quite that far. Let's see where he is. So tell you what, you can build right where you are. Sort of snuck up on him. So we told, build here now. Like, oh, okay, I'll do that. And then we went was. They don't stop on the dime very well. They really don't. So Matt, if you could do the honors of the researching.
Yep, already started.
All right. So I'm hoping you can see the shadowing of this. There it is. So, all right, since we're here and we're discussing it, the first question is the light beams between the buildings. That certainly gives it more of a sense that these things are meant to be connected somehow. I was mostly thinking of turning it into a light pulse that goes between the buildings versus just a solid line like that. Adam had mentioned that he was thinking of some sort of like series of fence posts or traffic light posts, if you will, doing it, which is also a possibility. That might get a little bit too intricate, but versus just a light. I was thinking about doing just as a light kind of thing. What do you think kind of works? Do you think this beams too wide? Do you think it should be a pulse? Do you think it should remain as a solid line like it is? Or what's your opinions?
So for the beams on the ships?
No, if
For the beams between the buildings.
Okay.
I think it's probably like this. Actually, the view and stream that you have at the moment kind of describes what my complaint would be. If you go back to the nav screen,
okay, there we go.
it's got a like you'd see the light coming in from the sun.
That wouldn't be like that.
I'd say it has to at least look different. Is basically
Yes, yes. Oh, certainly.
Could we have like
It'll look like it is here in the sim screen. I just haven't put the shadow mapping over there yet.
I was wondering if we couldn't like write a shader to like distort and to make it look more like a continuous lightning bolt traveling from one building to another, perhaps, or if that's too complicated.
Well, I want to keep it as a light versus, I guess that's what I was saying about a pulse. A lightning bolt would be a little bit too over the top, I think. So imagine a pulse that simply travels between the different buildings.
Okay. I wasn't thinking of like a strong lightning bolt, more like what you see inside of a plasma like ball, those like
Well,
continuous
that's
tendrils.
well then that's what we're talking about, a light pulse.
Okay
So
then.
just only go from basically like the like how do they join together?
It goes from every new building attaches to the closest building is near. Now, that's another thing we also discussed, saying, well, do you want to have everything come from the reactor? And it's like, well, especially the way this is, for example, with the reactor way the hell over there and these buildings over here, it may not be practical to have it go from the reactor only to all the buildings. It would end up being this weird spoke thing. And then when you have different layers of other buildings, the bolts will go through other buildings and won't look right. You know what I
It's
mean?
going to get very loud when you have a lot of buildings in your main base.
That's why I want to go to the pulses, because these solid lines, which work for right now as a test, they don't work fully. Now I realize there's going. Don't get me wrong. With all the lights on the buildings and all the lights that are going to go between them and stuff like that, yes, it's going to be a light farm. There's no doubt about that. And to a certain degree, that's on purpose. Um, and we can discuss whether or not if that's overkill or not. So do we concentrate on getting out of factory first and then worry about the rest of the stuff later? Or get the resources up first, which is probably a good idea too.
Resources good.
The resources are definitely good. I'll put down another. Some more power down, and then we'll get another refinery down, I think. Now, right now, having everything out of sync as far as the blinking goes, it's not that big of a deal, although this can be somewhat annoying. Once the pulses are there, then that's going to be different anyway. It'll look and feel different regardless. I'll put this guy up here. I'll make sure I have enough to do this before we do it. Alright. So if someone could design something to be eaten and something to eat, if you know what I mean. So,
What do you want in each of them?
well, let's say like 2 or 3 salvage beams in the salvager, and then whatever to be eaten can be whatever. I mean, I think that was our previous test before. So now you can see how the bars just don't go straight and linear, it just goes to the nearest building. Yeah. See, all those lights are there. Alright, so the next thing I guess would be a factory. Once we have enough for it, of course. I'll just put it over here. Yeah, I never did fix that, did I? It should default to a different one when it runs out of RMs from one source. Instead, it still goes, oh, there's still something left. Oh, let me try it, let me try it, let me try it. And it sits there and blinks. Alright. Factory will be up momentarily. Let's see what the... Our power's okay. Alright, factory is up. Hopefully someone else has money to build one of the ships at this point.
Alright, ships are being constructed.
Excellent, sir. Do we need to build a second factory, or does it matter at this point?
Both ships will be done in 1 minute.
Well, there's your answer then. The salvage beam one can be done in a minute? What kind of design is that? Salvager. Oh, you only have one thing on it, I guess. So, no, you got two? Huh. Someone's gonna have to poke a hole in whatever's getting eat. Oh, the victim. Yeah, someone's gonna have to poke a hole in that. But I guess we have people around here, you know, with guns waiting. Yeah, there's the salvager. So, someone else other than me should be in the salvager to do this. And we're also gonna have to do have someone who's going to harsh the victim.
I'm standing by and ready.
All right. All right. Let's see what happens here. All right. So while that's doing that, I'm gonna get to a different spot here. See, look at this. Look at this. See, we have antennas, and we have ourselves, and we have shadows from the factory, even though I'm being stupid about it. Although I'm experiencing what they refer to as Peter Panning, which means the shadow's a little detached. And I know what to do to cure it, I just haven't put that code in yet. So it's like, like everything else, one more thing to do. But it's there. So, who's going to be the victim? No, I guess the victim doesn't really matter.
Just tell me what ship to possess, basically.
You should possess the salvager, which is the long, the freighter-looking one. The one I'm shooting right past a little bit. There you go.
1 second. Oh, right then.
Someone's in it.
Yeah, it's me.
Alright. So, what we got here is you are a salvage ship. Oh, did you put cargo bays on the salvage ship, Adam? I guess it doesn't really matter. Yes or no?
No.
Will that matter?
It does matter, yeah. You can't salvage if there's nothing to put the cargo into at this point.
Okay.
Once we write the function to produce debris, then that'll change, but for now you need a cargo bay.
Okay. So, could someone go in there and redesign it real quick? Let me go look at the factory. Okay. If need be, I'll produce a second factory if that's what we need to be done. Is it me or getting the lights getting brighter and brighter in here? I think it's overshooting somehow. I don't know why. I'll have to look into that. while it's waiting, I'll go grab this.
Which cargo bay do you want? Because remember, there's two. One's mutable, one's not.
Just the test one should work.
Test one should work. That's what we tested with in the first place.
They're both, like, when I look at them in there, it both says cargo bay te. I can't see the rest of the words.
Do we want to harsh this one salvager with no cargo bays as a test or not?
We can, but we still need to get a real salvager out. Adam, pick one. I mean, whichever one that's fixed. Just so we don't have to worry about it. Go get the power here, because I know we're low.
Alright, it'll be a bit until I actually get the resources to build Salvager 2. But it's designed.
Okay, well I can take care of that.
I
How
might have the resources too.
do you have the resources?
I got a bunch.
All right, well, we have a second factory. Why don't you throw it out there? Oh gods. So Matt, when I look at Salvager 2, it goes Salvager 2 and it goes Blarg in the bottom part. If you look on the live stream.
About a minute and a half.
It's the part where it's trying to calculate how long it will take to build it. For Adam, I guess. Do you see what I'm talking about? Matt?
Hold on, I don't keep the Twitch stream up.
Okay.
So
Could you go into the factory screen? Okay, now it's going. So now it's all right. So now it's gone. Evidently there was some bad garbage in the seconds column. So maybe, and we can always review the live stream when the time comes. But yeah,
Okay.
it might be something to
I'll
look at.
make a
Just
note of it.
yeah, just make a note. That's all I'm asking. Okay, so let's look at the salvager. Let's see what it looks like, and let's see. Orion 2. Oh, we got Orion on here. Salvage beam. 2 Orions. 2 salvage beams. And there's the cargo bay. Excellent. Alright. So now we should have plenty of power, I would hope. And... or not. I guess I need more power. Fair enough. Yeah, I'll add more power then. Yeah, for some reason it keeps on adding suns. I don't understand that one, but that's okay. Alright, so Paul, if you would be so kind as to jump into the newer salvage ship, please.
1 second there.
It's the fish ship, if that helps you any.
Yeah, let me just hop into the nav screen to find it. Is Adam currently piloting it?
No. Another one just popped out. Someone's in that one. Okay. Alright, whoever's piloting one of them, or I guess it was just spinning around, I guess. Someone, well, target the glowies. Let's see what happens here. I have a nice view of this. A really pretty view of everything, so I want to see destruction. Any volunteers? Wrong ship. You're in
So
the wrong
fish
ship.
The fish ship is Salvager 2.
Yes. You have to go into the fish ship.
Okay, just accidentally possessed a red ship. I'm sorry.
Alright, someone else want to do it?
No, I'm in Salvager 2.
Okay, great. Thank you. So please select one of the ships and do your damage. Now I'm going to do it once without the HUD up and once without.
Alright.
Oh, there it goes. It derezzed. Hold it
I saw
paused out
that.
though. So why don't you do that to the other one? If you would please. I'll turn the HUD back on. Now the thing about salvage is you have to disable the ship first, and then it will start eating it alive. And we left all the debug stuff in there. Why is the frame rate going down to the floor?
Noticing that too.
Is there some weird debug stuff going on?
And second was eaten as well.
Okay, could you do that to the original salvage one, please?
I was in the second one, Eaton, and I'm seeing my ship as powerless or reactorless. So,
Yes, that will happen.
okay then.
Guess that must have been the reactor.
Probably.
Yeah, one.
So this is like massively freezing up.
Yeah, I'm noticing that too. Oh, no, it just blew up.
Okay. Is there like some massive debug stuff going on that might be doing that?
I wouldn't have thought there would be anything other than the usual debug stuff.
Okay.
But
Because what's happening is getting to that last point of debug, and then the whole, as a server, I'm freezing up completely. So is everybody
yeah,
else.
no, I'm fine.
So yeah. So the quick answer is yes, it works. The not so quick answer is that it looks like there's too much debug stuff in there still. So yeah. Now that's an interesting question. What happens if you try to salvage a building? Adam, would you pick a building and try to eat it?
Salvage what? A building?
Yes.
Okay.
I have no idea what will happen. So tell me which one you're going to do so I can actually target it so I know what you're doing.
The reactor right here, because the reactors are generally pretty weak.
You're not wrong. Hold on, let me target it. Because I have to cycle through because I don't have a direct thing yet. There we go. Alright, don't blow it up. Good luck with that. So I guess miss with the beams, and then only hit with the salvage. You have to get within 250 feet, I think it is?
Do I have to actually disable it first?
I don't
Yeah.
know. You technically do, but there's no disable on a building. You'll either blow it up or not, so I'm curious what happens. Okay. Alright, you're not eating anything, so it's not considered disabled. Oh, no, it is. Oh, that's you killing it? With the
Nope,
beams?
I'm shooting at the ground.
Okay, 'cause I saw it go down a little bit. Alright.
Salvager beam is definitely firing.
Oh, it's definitely firing, but that's in tractor beam mode, so... That's a good question. Can you lift it? Try to hold down the Q key, see if you can lift the stupid thing.
The Q key?
Yeah, because that's up. Nope. Okay.
That
I'm assuming it's way too heavy.
alarming if that had worked.
Well, I was wondering about it too. Yes, it is supposed to be way too heavy. Oops, you blew it up.
What the heck?
That's interesting. There you go.
I have no idea why it exploded.
I'm sorry. That may have been me. I was hitting Q and E to see if my ship could rise and fall, and I think I had the reactor selected.
Oh yeah, if you accidentally
F is what kills things now, yeah.
Oh, but I was hitting. Does E make things explode? Because it wasn't. I wasn't hitting F.
No.
it shouldn't.
No, it shouldn't
Huh.
anymore.
Oh, all right then.
Because Q and E make you go up and down now. F is what makes things explode. Alright, someone just exploded something else.
I just hit E again, so E is making stuff explode on my end.
Well, one, it goes across the network now, if you noticed.
Yeah.
So it's not just me has that power anymore. But that means what's happened is you haven't updated your default keys, if you know what I mean. Go to the configuration, go to controls, hit default, hit save. Because right now explode ship still is in the other thing. So yes, you can like start selecting all the things and keep blowing them up, and everybody will see it now.
That's global commands, right? Or just
And
default?
just any of the commands hits at default, and it'll do it. So I guess that's kind of the point. So, all right, we're here. We're talking about Adam. There's no quote unquote disabled on buildings. So is it, do we do it at the hull breach and then we start to eat it that way? Because that is meant to be salvageable. So what's the answer to that? Now I know at one point you were saying that if the hit points went below half, that it was considered disabled.
Yes.
Okay, so maybe that's the answer. I'm just going to put that code in. Does that make sense, Matt?
I'm sorry, could you repeat that? I had trouble hearing you over my cat.
Yeah, cats have really been the thing. We don't actually have buildings being disabled right this second. But we had discussed with Adam that once the internal hit points drop below half, that they would be considered disabled to get the disabled flag.
Yeah.
Which would be good enough for the salvager to start to eat it.
Yeah, that sounds pretty good.
Okay, well there's your answer then. Okay. Well, so other than the very apparent problems with the shadow mapping, does anybody, alright, those of you that can see the live stream, are you seeing it as well as I see the shadows, or everybody else other than me always seems to have a lot of problems with the shadows? And I don't understand why my card would be different than anybody else's, but there you go.
What's the what are we trying to like?
Well, is
What
the
out of
shadow map somewhat reasonable? Have you seen it from the pictures and such that I've done? Does it look like that on your machine? Or does it look like complete hot garbage on your machine?
I'm comparing the two. So
Okay.
actually, could you swing around and go back to looking at the buildings?
Sure.
Gives me nice little basis for comparison.
So, for example, I'm looking at the factory. I can see both antennas sitting right here, for example. It's a little bit shimmery on the edge, but if I don't move, they don't shimmer. Or I'll even turn off my... If you hit tab, you can turn off the HUD, which is good for cinematics. But you can see, you know, there's these two towers here on the top of the factory, and I'm definitely seeing it here in the shadow. You can definitely see the outline of all that.
Thank you.
Excuse me, what happened?
Somebody shot me.
Okay. So do you want to park your butt right near mine and see if it's similar or not?
I'm getting actually I'm getting a pretty good where I put myself.
Okay.
Yeah, the shadows seem pretty good for me.
Okay, good. Good, because we were having problems the other day.
It's a little hard to tell because things get a little jumpy on my box, which we discussed. So
Yes, you're not wrong there.
that's why it was kind of hard to give a good answer.
Yep, no, you're not wrong. There seems to be something strange in the neighborhood with AMD cards, and I don't have a good answer. I'm not thrilled with that fact, but it is what it is. Now, the other good news is if you notice, there's should no longer be a light lag. Of course, I'm lying. Of course, there's still a light lag because beams aren't being counted in that thing. I should look into that, actually. One of the things about the shadow mapping is it renders everything multiple times to the shadow maps before it renders it onto the main screen. And so for at least for the actual ships, there should no longer be a light lag. But because the beams aren't rendered, they still have a slight light lag as far as things go, which I had to fix now. Seeing it, I thought it was kind of fixed, but it's not. The other thing is, unfortunately, the shadows take my thrusters as part of the shadow. Alright, someone... There we go. So, if you look in this thing, my ship is not that huge. Alright, so if I afterburner, you can kind of see where the all that is. But that's the problem, is that my afterburner is a permanent shadow, and so like, oops. So that will be resolved. Also, pulses make shadows right now. Although you'll never be able to see it because realistically the pulses are their own light anyway. But speaking of which, Adam, you're one of the few pulse ships if you want to unload on the ground.
Let me go find my old ship.
Now, I do have to say, even with the lights that go between the buildings, certainly give it a lot more life looking. I mean, all the lighting really is kind of make things pop a lot more. It's actually kind of funny. Thank you. You disabled me.
Pot shot.
Oh, for freaking... well, there you go. So my engines are disabled. Which means someone can come over and salvage me, technically. Yeah, from the looks of it, you hit my left side and that took me out. And now I'm just... yeah.
That was just a glancing blow.
Well, it worked. So you got my anti-inertial thruster. So I can actually show that on the thing here. So if I go into my self-damage, which looks very funky now, I think the directional lighting is being amplified somehow for some stupid reason, but there you go. So if... don't blow me up yet. That's cargo. There's no cargo on this screen. Where's the... aha, here it is. So, yeah, my chemical source is at negative 23. I don't know how that one worked, but there you go. But everything else is intact. But yeah, so you blew out my chemical thrusters completely. But there we go. That's why I can't turn. And I'm stuck. Alright. Yeah, I still say that looks cool. With how much everything is like getting lit up. Pulse shots. Although these are the overpowered pulse shots, that's why they glow so much. Which is why you one-shotted me with them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Alright, I'm gonna repair myself. So I should move it over here. Okay. Well, I think we're done about with the testing. Any comments, things that they suggest as feedback that we should change, that kind of thing, like with some of the lights that we've seen? We got some of those comments already. Any other comments? And we did actually prove that the salvage does actually work across the network, although there seems to be some other very strange glitch with it. Ironically, it works, doesn't crash anybody. If you notice, no one's crashed that I'm aware of, other than initial problems. Which I think is a good thing.
Yeah, it's true.
And your frame rate should be good, even with the current shadow map set.
It's actually pretty cool to like fly out high up and take a look at the power lines distributing across all the buildings.
I'll do exactly that. And if you want to, you can hit tab to get rid of the HUD, so you can really see it.
I'm not finding that happening, actually. I updated my something to the controls to default, but
Maybe
Did you remember
something...
to hit save?
yeah.
Maybe it's something you have to manually put in. Or maybe not be a default thing, because I did it for the what do you call it, the trailer footage. So you might have to do it manually. I just happen to have done it. But in any case, so yeah, so now I'm doing what Paul suggested. Now we can see all the lines between all the different buildings and how they're both in shadow and not in shadow, etc. Which is a kind of nice segue out. And I was like, so any other suggestions as I slowly pull back? I don't know whose ship that is, but I really love how I can see your engine trail. Who is that? That's Adam.
Why, thank you. I worked just for you.
Yes, I'm sure you did. But the idea here is we can do a lot of cities, and like, I'm up pretty high now. I'm still seeing all the lines between all the buildings and stuff of that nature. I mean, it's just yeah, I just think it looks really, really nice. Now, I'm up pretty far. It's the first time I've actually been up this far. And you can see the shadowing cutting out, unfortunately, because that's a certain range limit. But it's interesting to see how the terrain actually looks at this kind of distance. My intention is to add more shadow maps, so we'll go much further into the horizon so it doesn't cut out like this. But yeah, this is definitely kind of neat. All right, and on that note, any other comments? Or should we cut it? All right, then I guess we're cutting it. Thank you all for coming out, and we'll see everybody in 2 weeks, and we'll have a lot more lights for you at that point. So,
Excellent.
yep. So, good night, all, and I'll see you in 2 weeks.
Yep.
Bye bye.